Hi guys, I'm Ian Munro and I'm going to show you how to get the best from a portrait using one light and a reflector. Right, here we are. I've got my model, John, alongside me, and he's sporting a rather cool Regency mock outfit that adds a bit of interest to this portrait. It's purely just for the purpose of the portrait, but nevertheless, pretty good fun. We've got our single light setup. My choice of light is the 150 centimeter Hexa Para, and it's got a double baffler inside, so you have not the one outer scrim, but also an inner baffler second scrim, and it gives a real soft, creamy light. It's my go-to light if I'm shooting single light portraits. Now, what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through various light positions and model positions with the one light to create different effects. The other thing we will be using also is a small reflector with a black opposite side that we can use as negative fill. So we're going to jump straight in, we're going to go for it, and we're going to see what we get with this lighting setup in this position. Now, if you notice, I've got John positioned quite central, he's facing straight on, and the edge of the softbox is just feathered, just on the edge of John's face. Now, we are careful not to put the center of the softbox too direct on John's face, because the thing is, you risk hotspots, burnouts, etc., and you need a bit more of the light to wrap around the subject. Okay, so I'm just going to quick fire, see what we get with this, and I think I'm on f8 and 1/60th of a second. The 1/60th of a second cancels out any ambient light here in the studio, okay? And also we have on this side, we're going to start off with the black reflector, and that basically is going to cancel out any light bouncing in from the opposite side of the wall. Okay, so I'm just going to direct John now and take a shot. Okay, when you're ready then, John, then if you can look straight down the camera, a nice serious look. There we go, that's pretty cool. Okay then, John, here we go, 3, 2, 1. That's great. Okay, there we go. I think, as you can see, the black reflector has cancelled out a lot of the light. You can see from the image that should be up on your screen now that we've got perfect exposure on the one side, the light falling off, and John's right hand side pretty much dark and in shadow. You can see it on the screen right now. Right, so once again we're going to keep the same setup, but this time I've turned the negative fill, the black side of the reflector, I've turned it around to the silver side. This will give a little bit more contrast, but also it'll lift a lot of the shadows up, and we should get a completely different feel for the shot, a completely different mood to the portrait. So I'm just going to ask John to do exactly the same, and we're going to fire away and see what we get, okay? Okay, so everything remains the same, and we're just going to take a shot of John looking straight down the camera. 3, 2, 1. Great stuff. Okay, and instantly you can see the difference between the two pictures. This time with the contrasty reflector side, pumping some of that light back in. You can see now on your screen should be the picture showing where the shadows are filled in from the side. And that in itself is a different feel to the portrait we just took. It's down to personal preference really, whether or not you'd like a moody, sort of darker, more sinister picture, or something that shows the detail, maybe the detail in the dress, etc., and the detail in the rough collar. It's entirely up to you. So now what we're going to do next is we're just going to change the model's pose, but we're going to leave everything exactly the same. So now I've just turned John 90 degrees and he's directly facing the softbox, but he's still on the edge of the softbox. So it's still feathered, okay, but we reverted back to the negative fill. So I have the reflector with the black side showing, okay? And I'm looking for a portrait now that's a little bit moody, a little bit dark, and it's going to be a complete side on, but with John looking directly at the camera. So it's a little bit more dramatic, and we'll see what we can get now. Okay, there we go, John. 3, 2, 1. Great stuff. Excellent. And one more. If you can just shuffle back ever so slightly that way. That's great. Whoa, that's fantastic. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Great stuff. And if you could just look out of shot somewhat. Too much. If you can just turn towards me, that's good. There we go. Hold that. 1, 2, 3. Brilliant. That's fantastic. So, as you can see now, the shot should be up on your screens and you can really see the mood that we've gone for. And with John, I personally prefer this look than straight down the barrel of the camera. It adds, and it definitely suits the negative fill. What we're going to do next though, is we're just going to swap the negative fill for the silver side of the reflector, okay? So, as you can see on the screen now, you can see the difference that the silver reflectors had filling in the shadows on the back side shoulder area of John. Just by turning John side on, that's John's new nickname right now, Side On John, we've changed the whole dynamic of the image. Okay, so we've gone right back to the beginning this time and we've spun the reflector around so the black side is showing. That's going to give us some negative fill. So either way we position John, whether it's side on or front camera, the one side will be dark. The one thing we have changed is the position of the softbox. We've gone for a more extreme feather, and I've basically turned the softbox not just to the edge but also away from John and more so towards my camera. Okay, so as you can see, the position of the light has spun around and it's directed straight from John. I can just see, if I look directly through, I can see the back of John's head and the back of his body there. All right, so the light isn't on him at all, not a single bit. So we'll take a couple of shots and we'll see what we can get, and that'll be pretty much with a negative fill. And this stops burnout or hotspots, and because John's wearing white feathers on his cap and also the white ruff collar, when he turns to the side, hopefully the light that's feathered off him, very, very extreme, should cure any hot spots on the nose, the forehead, or any of the white ruff. One thing to note, that when you extreme feather away from the subject and using negative fill, the backdrop will be a lot darker. We're using a black sort of charcoal background, and it's already dark, so this is going to throw light away and we'll probably end up with more or less a pitch black backdrop. Right around the front, that's cool. Here we go, mate, hold that. 1, 2, 3. If you can just move, that's right, you go down there. Okay, so we'll do one straight down the camera. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and side on now. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So guys, finally you can see the results of the images on your screen, and we've just finished the final shot with John facing the camera and side on with the silver reflector. What that's done is that's lifted some of the shadows on John's right hand side, okay, even though the softbox is feathered right off John. Okay, yes, the background is dark, but the silver reflector has filled in the shadows. So guys, there we have it. Quick recap, we shot side and front on portraits using negative fill with the black side of a reflector and the silver side as the fill, which give it a bit more contrast and lift. We also used 150 centimeter Hexa Para softbox, and we feathered it by putting John on the edge of the softbox for the feather, and then further feathered it by turning the softbox away and more towards the camera, just to take any hot spots or to dampen down some of the bright white areas off his ruff collar and the fur off his hat. So huge thank you to John. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a quick few tips that you might find easy to pick up, and don't forget, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We do plenty of behind the scenes stuff, and also head on over to Ian Munro Photography, where you can download some free content, tutorials and all sorts of bits and bobs. So until next time, take care.